here investigating clergy sexual abuse and the depth of this issue, not only here in Ireland, but also worldwide. We definitely want to thank you, Martina, for taking the time to answer our questions and for shedding light of what is taking place here specifically in Ireland. Martina, can you tell us your personal story?
Well, again, my mother was an unmarried mother, and they tried to take my brother and myself off her. So my mother fled to England. So she discovered then she got pregnant on me. She took my brother, to England, but then she got pregnant on me with my father. So she went down to Kerry, to her family. And because Kerry was such a small little town, I'd say about 200 people lived in it, they ran her from Kerry. Our own family and the Bishop Casey ran her out of Kerry. So my mother fled up to Dublin. She put me into, I was put into Kilkenny institution, school. I can't remember where my brother went to, but then I was taken out of there when my mother remarried. I think I was going on 5. She had married this man, but she always told me she never married him for love. She only married him to put a home around the two of us, Norman and myself. So she had to keep a low profile as well, remember, because she was an unmarried mother. And in Ireland, so-called Catholic country in Ireland, it was a crime to be an unmarried mother. But not alone did the mother fall the crime, the children also carried the crime in Ireland. The children were criminals, and the children were brought to court. And they can't call me a liar because I was in court when there was orphans brought to court, in the children's court, and sentenced to do industrial schools. And I was there, and I'd seen that happening. So then my father then started to abuse me as a child. So I started running away. So the police were picking me up, and then would put me down as uncontrollable, rather than somebody asked me why I was running away. And going back them days in Ireland, you couldn't speak out about abuse, remember, because it was a no-no. And every child had a fear of speaking out about abuse, whether it was a member of your family or a teacher. Nobody spoke about abuse because you were called a liar and you were dangerous, and that you would go to hell and burn in hell if you did that. I did it once, and I was beaten for it, and I was called a liar, and I was told I had to go to prison if I spoke about it again. So in Ireland, this is the way it was in Ireland. Now, then when I was I was sent then to different schools, and I was beaten in them. But the only thing about me, my case is different to Mary's. I was always only sentenced in the court, so they had to let me out when my time was up. You know, so every 2 years, my time would be up, I'd be sent back home again. Within 6 months, I'd be back in another institution because they had no help. A child that was seen to run away, or a child that was cried in school, or a child that was slow in school, was seen to be a sin or a crime. Even if you were a dyslexic, it was a crime in Ireland. If you were a slow learner, it was a crime in Ireland. You were beaten by the teacher, and then if you reacted, the head inspector was brought in, so you were brought to court, and you were pushed away into an institution. So loads of wide areas. No child ever won in Ireland, because you had these grown-ups beating you and abusing you and bullying you, and you could say nothing. Then when I was 10, I robbed a pair of bathing togs to go swimming because we couldn't afford them. And I seen a pair of bathing togs on the window in a shop. So my friend asked me to go swimming, so I went in, took the bathing togs off. The dummy, that'll tell you how stupid I was. I get skull hauled into an office, and the police come, and I was brought to court, and I was sentenced to 4 years in Clifton, County Galway, which to me was like I'd need a visa today for it. You know, it was miles. And I got to this big building, and I was met with this nun. They told me I was there now, and nobody wanted me. I was there because I was a bastard. I would be a whore like my mother when I grow up. They were going to put manners on me. I was there because, as I said, but they kept telling me this, nobody wanted me outside. So I got to a stage then, I just closed up, and I wouldn't cry for them. Not like Mary, I wouldn't cry. And they bet me. They had sleeping in filthy dormitory with these old one grey blanket over us, and we would be freezing. And if we tried to double up in a bed, which was really impossible because we're tiny, to keep warm, we were beaten if we were caught. We didn't go to school because we were from Dublin, and we were from the court, so they made us go out and walk in the farm, anywhere, scrubbing floors, big wooden floors, polish them. You'd have to get on your knees, you'd have to polish them, wax them. And if the nun decided she didn't like the shine, you were made do it all over again. Plus a beating on the back of the head with a leather strap, keys, or a bamboo cane. You know what a bamboo cane looks like? I don't know whether you're aware of do you ever get a smack of a bamboo cane? Oh my God, that is sore. It leaves a sting and a welt on you, and it's nasty. You get them across the legs, which was really painful. You would be dancing around with the pain, and the more you'd be dancing around with the pain, they'd be lashing you everywhere they could. Then they used to bring these doctors and nurses in, and they'd be sticking needles into you.
Why?
But we don't know, we were never told. We were just like little guinea pigs brought into this huge big hall. To be a nun there, so you couldn't cry, because if you did rebel, you would know that you're going to get a bad beat when you went outside.
So the nun would watch?
Oh yeah, she'd be standing there watching, so they'd stick needles here.
Who would?
These doctors and nurses, and they would put plasters on them. Then they would stick needles here and put plasters on them. Then you'd be brought back and you'd have big, big rashes under the plaster. When the plaster comes off, you'd have a big, big rash.
Was it just you?
Oh no, all the children.
How many children?
In Clifton there was about, I'd say, over 150 children.
And you watched this?
We were all getting it done to us. Oh yeah, we're all in a line, and we were all standing in a little white vest and a little white pair of knickers, and that's the only clothes we'd on us.
What year was this?
In the 60s.
How old were you?
I was about 10.
And was it one time?
No, a few times. But I remember one injection making us very, very sick. And I don't know what it was, but 6 of us got very sick on it. But I didn't know then what it was, but they gave us this tin of stuff to drink. Oh, Jesus, it was woeful.
What was it?
At the time I didn't know, but I found out later. It was Epsom sauce. Epsom sauce.
For what?
That Epsom sauce clears you out and gives you diarrhea. And we were so sick drinking it. And there was then, remember, we were put into a dormitory and there was only 2 toilets, which meant it was bad. And this particular girl destroyed herself and she got some beaten.
Did you ever ask what it was?
No, you wouldn't, you wouldn't dare, you'd be killed. You couldn't. I mean, they gave you poison, you couldn't ask what it was because you'd be beaten. You were there to be seen and do the work, and you'd ask no questions. You didn't even ask if your mother was asking about you. I never saw my mother from the time I went there till the time I left. It was going back them days in Dublin was very poor, the recession was in, and mothers couldn't afford a train journey down to Clifton because you had to get a train from Dublin to Galway, and from Galway you had to get a bus to Clifton. So it was a day's journey with a big family and she couldn't do it. But any time my mother sent parcels, we never got them. You know, we never got any food parcels or anything she sent down, or oranges or apples, we never got them. And then I remember the beatings were getting so bad that one day I was in the kitchen and the nun bet me to a pulp because she caught me robbing a potato as well. I was starving. So we used to go down the farm and eat the pigs, you know, the pig's food, we used to eat that. The potato skins there, we used to eat them. Then I used to go in, I mean, this is the hilarious part about it. I was sent there for robbing a pair of baiting dogs, and they taught me how to rob to survive. I used to go into the chicken house and the little hole I'd fit in, and I'd rob the eggs. We learned how to survive. It was like being in the jungle, we learned to survive. I used to go in and rob the eggs. I'd go down to the bakery. I'd give the girl bed, she was Anne, she worked there. I'd give her 3 eggs. She'd give us a pan, and she'd cook the eggs for us, and we'd share it with a few of us. And because we never got fed properly, and we were always starving, but we always got to smell a lovely food, but it was always coming from the convent and the boarding school that was at the other side.
Was there an escape? How did people get out?
You couldn't get out. If you did escape, you'd never get far from Clifton, because Clifton and Galway, there's so many, about say 70 or 80 miles, and you'd be walking into nothing but bog. You know what a bog is? It's all just fields, and you wouldn't be able to escape because you would die because you wouldn't be able to feed yourself.
If you've been a victim of clergy abuse, don't stay quiet. Speak out. Write to us at contact@vaticancrimes.us.